For my life I live, for the air I breathe, for the song I sing. You are the reason why I lift my hands, why I lift my voice. It's all because of you. You are the reason for the life I live, for the air I breathe, for the song I sing. And you are the reason why I lift my hands, why I lift my voice. It's all because of you. You are the reason. You are the reason. You are the reason. Oh, you are the reason. You are the reason. You are the reason. You are the reason. Oh, you are the reason. Oh, 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 oh. And you are the reason I survived the storm, and I can't stand today. Why I lift my hands. And you are the reason why I lift my voice, why I lift my hands. It's all because of you. You are the reason. You are the reason. You are the reason. Oh, you are the reason. You are the reason. You are the reason. You are the reason. Oh, you are the reason. Thank you.
Who am I that the Lord of all the earth who care to know my name, who care to feel my hand? Who am I that the bright and morning star who shall light the way for my ever wandering eye? Not because of who I am, but because of what you've done. Not because of what I've done, but because of who you are. Who I am, the flower quickly fading, and today gone tomorrow. Even tossed in the ocean, a vapor in the wind, still you hear me when I'm calling, or you catch me when I'm falling, and you told me who I am. because of what you've done, not because of what I've done, but because of who you are. What we give feeding, that today we go tomorrow. A wave tossed in the ocean, a vapor wind stealing. Hear me when I'm calling, Lord, you catch me when I'm falling, and you told me who I am yours. I am yours.
Okay, we're back now to the series of Health on Target. I pray that you have been blessed. Let me see those who have been blessed with all of these lectures. Okay. Let me see those who have actually made some health targets because of these lectures. Let me see. Not so many, okay? But anyway, hopefully you're going to be convinced, okay? Well, for tonight's topic is murdered by the spirits. When you mention about murdered by the spirits, I think about witchcraft, isn't it? I was working in hospitals wherein people get sick and after that they die, and then people will say, you know, he died of witchcraft, especially if a person is relatively very well, and a young person, and all of a sudden the person just falls down. And I said, Doc, that man actually was killed by the evil spirits. Well, it's true because there is the devil, and if we are going to align ourselves with the devil, he can do whatever he wants to do with us. So those are real happenings, you see. But if we have Jesus Christ in our lives, the devil is a conquered foe. But I tell you, the spirit that we are talking today is not really those evil spirits. In fact, it is even more sinister than what we call these evil spirits. And what do you think is this more sinister? It has actually killed more people than what we call this witchcraft or whatever diseases. Okay, it is actually, do not deceive by alcohol. Don't you know that alcohol is also called spirits? One of the nicknames of alcohol is spirits. I don't know why you know that, do you know why it is called spirits? Why? Because it has an evil power. Not only that, that's the reason why it's called spirit. Because it has some power. Power to kill you too, you see, like those evil spirits. But not only that, but the reason why they call it spirits, I know you have some experience when it comes to alcohol. Like for instance, let me see, I brought maybe my alcohol, is rubbing alcohol, isn't it? This is rubbing alcohol for hands for disinfect. What happens when you actually rub them? It actually disappears, isn't it? You know, when somebody is going to give an injection on you, the nurse is going to give an injection, they are going to disinfect your skin, and all of a sudden, that liquid just disappears. That's the reason that they call it spirit, because it just evaporates. But really, one also of the reasons is because it has some power, very evil power. And we ask the question, why is it that people use alcohol when alcohol is a poison? I tell you, we do not need any alcohol in our bodies. God did not make alcohol in Eden. People made it afterwards. And so you ask the question, what use really is alcohol in our bodies? Okay? Why is it that people take alcohol? Of course, number one is social pressure. You know, when you come to gatherings, or maybe you have this beautiful lady who's saying, why don't you drink with me, isn't it? You go into the bar, and that's the reason why these bars, they have these pretty ladies who are going to come to you because they want to sell death to you. And so they come and tell, can you buy me a drink? And really, I also Peer pressure. Has anybody here been pressurized by peers to drink alcohol? I'm sure a lot of us have been pressurized. I, for one, have been pressurized. I took my college degree in a non-SDA school because the course that I took was not in our Adventist schools. And so I got exposed to some of these people who drink socially. They look so, with that glass in their hand, and with the eyes they swirl the drink. Hey, man, this is for your health. Cheers, isn't it? To your health. I think they're not saying cheers to your health, they're actually saying to your death, isn't it? And so they actually tempt you. You know what? I tell them, go ahead, just drink. I'll just have juice, if not water. And especially when I am with friends, and then we drive a car, and I tell them, that's how I neutralize the pressure. I said, look here, if all of you are going to drink, and all of you are going to drunk, who is going to drive? Might as well have somebody who is sober enough to drive you home, or else we're going to have problems. And they say, okay, we leave you, okay. So these are common because, as I said, I don't know why people have the tendency to pressurize when it comes to alcohol. Why? They just cannot leave you and say, I want to have just water, if not just juice. Okay, what are the other reasons? Do you take alcohol to drown your problems? A lot of people actually take alcohol because they think by just having that alcohol, then it seems that their problems are going to be solved, they're going to be floating, they're going to be at peace. But it's going to be very temporary. In fact, when you are going to use alcohol to drown your problems, you are just having an escape. Because as you are going to wake up, number one, you're going to have a hangover and you're going to have serious headache. Not only that, but your problems are going to come back, and it is even going to be the more. Because when you take alcohol, it might cloud your mind, but then it has not solved the problem. It might have even aggravated the problem. And when you have alcohol in your mind, you cannot think straight on how to solve the problem. You might even come up with a wrong decision most of the time. Okay? So maybe like, for instance, your girlfriend leaves you. I know a lot of guys, when girlfriends leave them, I don't know with girls whether they drink also alcohol. And so they are so devastated, so what they do, they drink alcohol. I remember the boyfriend of my sister. I could just picture him when my sister said, no, I'm tired of you, I don't want you anymore. And this guy drowned himself with alcohol. It's good because at least he did not harm my sister, because some people, when they are left and then they feel that their pride has been hurt, they in fact, because of alcohol, say, okay, I'm going to take even with you, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to kill you. That happens several times. That's why do not drink alcohol when you have problems. It aggravates the problem. Of course, party time, okay, there's always that alcohol, isn't it? Thank God that when we have here in churches, we don't serve alcohol. Social lubricant. That means people are a little bit tense. And that is natural, because when you are in a new environment and say, okay, you need something to ease you up, to make you relax. And then the next thing you know that they're so relaxed and the mind is so clouded that they jump into bed. And I know of one of my patients, he said, doctor, he was in tears. Oh, doc, please. I don't know what happened to me. I was in a party and we were drinking, and then finally this lady comes and she looks attractive and you can see in her eyes that she was interested in me. The next thing I know, because we were drinking, I wake up, she was beside me. And now I don't know whether she has HIV. Please, doc, can you please test me for HIV? See? I don't know if your family drinks, because that is also a big influence. When parents and relatives are drinking, look at this both. Which am I going to follow, smoking or drinking or both? Poor guy. Both. He's going to end up both. And this is it, because we are going to, and I hope that when you're going to become parents, do not do anything of this, because you are going to be a great influence to your kids. And I thank you that I grew up actually in a Seventh-day Adventist environment wherein we did not have this, or else If that was in our house, I think I would already be drinking and even smoking. Praise God. So as you become parents, be mindful of the influence that you're going to cast your children. Of course, rite of passage into adulthood. I don't know whether you have these tribal rites and ceremonies. When a boy reaches 14 years old, he's going to be circumcised, he's going to learn how to catch fish, or he's going to learn kulima or whatever. And after that, he said, okay, now you are a man. Now, here, you can drink. Now they say, okay, 18. I'm just waiting. When is my birthday? 18. Now it's time for me to drink. Of course, false advertising and internet and TV, and that's the big problem. There are so many these days. Now, they have banned actually tobacco in advertising, but alcohol is still very prominent there. Not only that, but they come up with advertising wherein these guys are very suave, very sophisticated, well-dressed, and well-groomed. And you associate yourself with that, when in fact they have not really told the truth. They are only hiding the poison effect, you see. Seduction agent. Ladies, especially ladies, watch out, because a lot of guys are using this as a way of seducing you, to jump into bed with them. Why? Your mind would be clouded. I know of some friends of mine, because as I said, I went into non-SDA when I was in college. And some of these friends of mine said, you know, when I actually offer a drink for a lady, if I can actually let her drink after 5 drinks, I'm sure she's going to jump to bed with me. See? Why? Because it clouds your mind. You can start to be giggling and start to be pushing each other. Next thing you know, it's not there anymore. Okay. So anyway, we can continue. So it's seduction. And we know that in Genesis 19, the daughters of Lot actually seduced their father to sleep with them. You see, even in the Bible. Okay. So let us have what we call a reality check, whether all of those advertisings are really what they say that they are. Okay, number one that you are going to have when you are going to drink, especially long-standing drinking, and this is it. We're not just telling you maybe once in a while, but also long-standing. You can have heart failure. Heart failure, because you see, the heart actually muscle becomes affected. All of the cells in the body are going to be affected when you take up alcohol. You know, there are certain things that readily passes through the cell wall. You learned it in biology. What are those things? Number one is oxygen, because you need oxygen. Number two, carbon dioxide, because there's going to be an exchange, you see. And number three, alcohol. Alcohol readily penetrates into the cell wall, you see. Okay. So when you are going to drink alcohol, practically all of your cells in the body are going to be affected. Okay. As I said, okay, number one is, this is a man now who actually was drinking, and now he is having all of those tubes in his jugular vein, having heart failure. Your heart is going to fail when you keep on drinking alcohol, because there is a vitamin that your heart needs, and then it is going to be deprived by alcohol called thiamine. Now, what do you think is the ages of these guys? Oh, they're only about 45 years old, and look how old they look like. Not so clear. They're so old, and that's it. You are going to also have accelerated aging when you're going to drink alcohol. That's why it's very clear in Proverbs 20, verse 1. Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whoever deceives, therefore, is not wise. What this text is trying to say is that alcohol is going to teach you, come on, you drink. Come on, you drink. It's so nice. It's going to make you strong. It's going to make you handsome, or whatever the lies are. But then once you are drunk, then it's can you see how crazy you are now? How stupid that you have become now. That's what it means when you're going to mock. And look at some of these pictures that tells you that alcohol is going to mock you. Hey. Look at this so that you're not going to be like this. I mean, that's so dirty, but then can you see now? Okay, that's one way that alcohol is mocking you. Okay. My darling, I miss you so much. Especially it's cold tonight. I want to hug you. Wow. Reality. My friends. Okay, yeah. So that's why I'm telling you it's going to mock you, see. You know, we're trying to make this right, but I tell you, if this is going to happen to you, I know because I know of an engineer who has a doctorate degree in mathematics, a doctorate in engineering, but he had a very big problem when it comes to drinking. And when he drinks, he even forgets that he is a doctorate of engineering. He would just sleep anywhere, wherever. He could even sleep in a canal, or he could actually sleep in a toilet. I tell you, and the problem was that the wife and the daughter would be looking for him. Please help us look for our dad because he was actually in a party. Doctor in engineering. Okay, here for instance, see? This lady now is peeing on her pants, you see. It shames you. Okay, also another lady, can you see now? Not only men are going to kiss the bowl, it's also women who are going to kiss the bowl when they're going to be so intoxicated. Reality check. Now, here are just really the useful effects of alcohol, and that is what alcohol is supposed to be. It is supposed to be for, cleaning, and of course, sometimes just disinfecting the hand, okay, just like what I'm bringing right now. This is not for drinking, okay? This is for disinfecting. And of course, these days we know that you can use alcohol for fuel. In Zimbabwe, for instance, they're using it, also in South Africa. The reason why we as a church advocating what we call total abstinence, that means not a single drop you're going to drink, is because it is going to cause so many problems, and I tell you, it is going to affect every organ of the body. You know, out there, when you go out there, they tell you it's okay, drink maybe 1 glass a day. It's okay. It's good for your health. But for us, we tell you, no, it is not good. No level of alcohol is safe, you see. And we are going to show that. Unfortunately, there was this study from the French Paradox, and which actually encouraged people to drink because they say that alcohol or alcoholic drinks, especially red wine, is going to help you prevent heart attacks. They found out in the French people, they were eating a lot of saturated fat like cheese and red meat, and yet they had a low level of what we call heart attacks. And they said, I think it is because of drinking wine. But anyway, it's true, there could be some protective properties because red wine has what we call this element or this chemical called resveratrol, and this is really resveratrol that prevents a heart attack, okay? It says here, see, the benefits of red wine: improve total cholesterol, increases your good cholesterol, prevents formation of blood clots. But actually it is not the wine itself, but really it is what we call the chemical called resveratrol, or what we call flavonoids. Now, if wine was actually a good medication, then the World Health Organization is going to endorse it. You see, everybody should be drinking wine, but the World Health Organization said no. You have a very minimum what we call benefit, maybe 3%, but 97% is harm. So the World Health Organization said, no, that's not right, wherein you have only very, very small benefit, and yet this benefit can be taken by getting red grapes juice instead of red wine. Now, if you are going to use actually wine just to prevent heart attacks, you have to be aware that it has a lot also of what we call detrimental or bad effects. So for instance, a good example of this is, for instance, you have a fly circulating in this room. Bzzz. You get irritated and you say, okay, that fly, I'm going to kill that fly. But instead of just getting a fly swatter, what you do is you get a gun or a cannon so that you can bang, 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 bang. What happens? It's very possible you can kill the fly, but at the same time you're going to do damage. And that is the problem, you see? That is the problem. See? When you are going to take alcohol, You might be able to solve one big bit of a problem, and yet you are creating a host of problems. Hey, for number one, it's going to shrink your brain. We are here because we are students, isn't it? And we need to use our brain or else we cannot pass. Can you just imagine some of your cells are going to be cooked by alcohol? Okay? Yeah, sure. See, brain shrinkage. Okay, this is an example, okay? This is the normal, and the other side is what we call the brain that has been cooked. Look at how many holes it has. Look at how many cells have already been destroyed because of alcohol. Okay? Now, okay. We have about 100 billion, 12 zeros, okay, 100 billion, what we call brain cells in our bodies. Can you believe it? 100 billion. But yet, if you are going to keep on drinking, you are actually going to destroy the brain cells. So, for instance, you're going to say, okay, I'm just going to drink some little bit of alcohol to relax myself. If you do that, maybe 10,000 cells are dead. Let's just say theoretically 10,000 cells. But if you drink a lot, maybe about 100,000 are going to be. So, but what is that compared to 100 billion cells? But I tell you, the problem is that your nerve cells, and that is it, the brain cells, do not regenerate or do not actually reproduce itself. Now, some scientists are beginning to say, well, it regenerates, but very, very slow. This you can actually prove. If you are going to damage your nerve, okay, like for instance, you have an accident and you damage your nerve and you cannot anymore, it takes so long before that nerve, or it might not again regenerate. I know of a person who actually was injected here in the sciatic nerve, was hit of penicillin, and until now, until the day that he died, he could not walk anymore. That actually shows you that the nerve cells are not going to regenerate. And remember that we need our cell, what we call our brain cells, to be able to remember. Now, for instance, if you are going to have the pin of your ATM in one of the cells, okay? Because that is how it stores, in bytes, as you know, in bytes. And that one that is cell that is actually storing your pin is going to be destroyed, and that's the reason why you forget. The good thing is that the body actually stores it in several places. Just like what you do in your computer, you can actually back up a file in several segments of your computer. And that's how the brain works. So later on, you're able to remember. But if you keep on actually killing your cells, all the cells are going to be destroyed that you cannot remember. You cannot even remember the name of your wife anymore. You're going to call your wife maybe Mary when the name is actually maybe Itumiling. And then your wife is going to be upset with you because now you're calling your old girlfriend. That's it. You get confused. Okay. Now in women, for instance, okay, in women, we have to remember that for women, when a woman is born, her egg cells are what we call fixed. Thank you. The egg cells are fixed. When a woman is born, a baby girl, she has between 2 to 4 million what we call ova. But remember, as girls, you are not like men, wherein men actually continually produce. Your ova is fixed. So when you are born, 2 to 4 million. And when you reach puberty, and you reach your teens, only about 500 of those ova are going to mature. And that is the one that is going to determine how fertile you can become, how many children you can have, or pregnancies. And at the same time, it is going to determine when you're going to have menopause. Now, for instance, because as I said, the ova is fixed, and you drink, and what happens, one of the ova, okay, as I said, about 400,000 at puberty, only about 400 for conception or menstruation. Okay, now, you're already 14 years old, and so you have now mature what we call ova, and you drink. And when you drink, you don't realize that one of the ova, or 2 or 3, are going to be damaged, you see? Because, okay, I want to enjoy life, okay. And now you're going to drink at 18 years old, and at the time, you destroy, or you are going to affect 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of the ova, okay? And you are going to become pregnant at 23 years old, and you already have that destroyed or what we call damaged ova, which you did at 18 years old. And that's the reason why when a child sometimes is born, then they have already some deficiency. Why? Is because the ova that is used for that pregnancy was already damaged because of alcohol. So it's very important, friends. Stay away from alcohol if you want to have healthy children. And so when your child is born, you say, "Hey boy, 2 plus 3. Oh, he's going to say 10. Hey. What is this boy? Where does he come from? You actually say, where does he come from? My husband is very intelligent. He actually graduated magna cum laude, and me also, I graduated magna cum laude, and yet this is, boy cannot even add 2 plus 3. I see. Why? It's because you are the cause. Why? Because you already damaged the ova when you're 18 years old. Now for the men, of course, because men actually regenerate the sperm all the time, so it's not so bad. But still, when you're drinking and then you're going to sleep with your wife and the sperm is damaged, the same thing. So, moderate exposure to alcohol significantly reduces child's IQ. Okay? Now you have actually child abnormalities. I'll tell you, this is what we call fetal alcohol syndrome, which is found in children when parents or mothers are drinking heavily during pregnancy. And this is what's going to happen to the child. The child is going to become what we call a little bit abnormal, or depending on the exposure of alcohol. So those are actually the signs that a child has what we call alcohol fetal syndrome. And I know of one mother who is a good friend of ours because she was drinking heavily. The boy now is 12 years old, and until now the boy cannot talk properly. See, this is what happens to a child. Those are the features of what we call fetal alcohol syndrome. That means the child is going to have brain damage. Not only that, the features are some abnormalities. And this is what they found out. Okay? This is what they found out. This is the normal brain, 6-week-old baby, normal brain. But here on the other side, that small one is a 6-week-old baby who has been exposed to alcohol. So when you drink, actually, you're also going to affect your child. Okay? So alcohol is what we call a number one carcinogenic. When the WHO classifies carcinogenic as number one or group one, that means that it actually is just like tobacco. It definitely can cause cancer. And here are just some of the cancers that can be brought about: breast, bowel, liver, mouth, throat, esophagus. Ladies, okay? Beware, because you see, even moderate drinking, and when you say moderate drinking for women, it is 1 glass of wine every other day, meaning 3 times a week. Just 1 glass of wine. And yet this 1 glass of wine 3 times a week increases your risk of breast cancer. I think breast cancer is the second killer here in Kenya. The number one is cervical cancer. But I tell you, worldwide, cancer of the breast is the number one killer in women. Okay? So that's it, you see? You're going to have, okay, anyway. But you have also to be aware. Okay? Males also have breasts, isn't it? And also males can have breast cancer because of drinking. The reason why it is not so bad as in women is because the breasts of men are not so dense. It is not so big. That's the reason the chances are you get what we call carcinogenic cells, or what we call cancerous cells, because it is small compared to women, wherein you have more mass, you have more cells. That's the reason why you have more chances. Okay, just to show you some of mouth cancer, okay? Because as you drink, it is going to burn your mouth. It's going to burn your throat. Okay, it is also going to have what we call in the mouth, in the larynx, in the esophagus. The larynx is your voice box, okay? Okay, cancer again. There's another cancer that is here. Colon cancer, it is actually going to be in what we call the large intestine. And if you are going to have that, well, in order for the doctor to save you, we have to do an operation, and after that, we are going to cut that cancerous cell. And sometimes, because it is already so cancerous, that the only alternative is to put a hole here. See, we put a hole called colostomy, and that is where you're going to pass out your stool. It's bad, but it is going to save your life. Alcohol and HIV, as we have realized, you see, alcohol actually has the tendency to lower your resistance to HIV, and also it's going to destroy your immunity, so you get more prone to develop what we call HIV. Okay, now, do you have this here? In the village? Village alcohol. I tell you, this is even more dangerous than what is being sold. Both of them are dangerous, but this one is more dangerous. The reason why I say it's more dangerous is because the volume or the percentage of alcohol is not controlled in this. You know, when they sell in the shops, when they say that it has only about 40% alcohol, you can be sure it's 40%, because if the government finds out that it is more than that, they can lose their license. But in the village, today, maybe it's going to be a little bit less. The following day, it can actually be 60%, and when you reach actually 70%, that actually even becomes lethal, okay? And that's how they do it, you see, in the village. See, as I said, in the village, there is no alcohol content standard. And you keep on drinking. And it is actually the equivalent of sometimes what they sell in the village is the equivalent of what we use for lighting the alcohol. So high. And now, if you are going to drink that with a very high content, you can actually end up what called alcohol blindness. Immediately. I know of several people who actually went into alcohol blindness immediately because of that, because it goes into your optic nerve and damages the optic nerve. Not only that, but you have actually heard so many stories where people died while they were feasting on that locally brewed, or what do you call it? Cachaso or cachipembe? What's the local name? What's the name here? What's the local name of... you don't have a local name. That means you don't produce? Changa. Okay, changa. Okay. So now, you see, when you are going to drink, it's going to delay your motor reactions, and that's the reason why people have what we call accidents. 75% of all the accidents that happen in the road has to do with alcohol. Okay, high blood pressure. Okay, anyway, we are running out of time. You're going to have liver. You can have inflammation of the liver. This is what we call Wernicke-Korsakoff, wherein you're going to become demented. Demented is that you actually lose your mind. It does not happen all of a sudden, but it can happen after so many years of drinking. Okay, your bones become soft. It will take some time, but look here. This is what is happening when you actually are going to be drinking. You're going to be stooping down there. It takes some years, but it will happen, okay? Alcohol hurts women the more. Why? Is because women have less the enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase. It is the enzyme that deactivates alcohol, but women have less of that. And that's the reason why women cannot metabolize alcohol as fast as men. Okay? See, alcohol belly. Why? It's empty calories. I can see nobody here has alcohol belly. Congratulations. Okay. But if you're going to be drinking, you're going to be like this, my friends. Even bigger and bigger, because alcohol has what we call empty calories. That means it is just all sugar and all calories, no vitamins. Okay? And of course, it causes liver cancer. Okay? We know, we mentioned about hepatitis, but also it can produce, aside from hepatitis, alcohol can also cause liver cancer. And a lot of crimes are associated, and these are just some of the things, you see, that are associated with them, okay? Crime, murder, associated 27%. Rape, 30% because of alcohol. Robbery, 37%, you see? Anyway, okay, here guys. Alcohol consumption can cause impotence, okay? Alcohol neuropathy, okay, anyway, and also infertility. But anyway, I pray that if we are actually having this problem, because I'm sure some of you here are experimenting on alcohol, some are even taking alcohol regularly, I pray that you're going to stop this, because it is going to be detrimental to you in the end. I know of several guys, they're very brilliant, but because they've been drinking alcohol, they destroy their career. So we pray that if you are addicted to it, go to Jesus Christ, and He's going to help you to be able to overcome, you see. For you are more than conquerors through my love in Jesus Christ, and that is it. Despite all of those deficiencies, those weaknesses, those inclination for alcohol, God has a message for you. You can overcome if you are going to ask Jesus Christ to come into your life, okay? More than conquerors through Jesus. More than conquerors, that means you can have victory over alcohol and this evil spirit. God bless you all. Shall we all rise for prayer? Dear Father, we thank you once again for giving us this warning. Help us to realize that you love us so much that you do not want us to fall into the trap of all of these evil habits, especially with alcohol. I know, Father, that there are here in the congregation who are using alcohol. May they realize that even moderate drinking can cause certain damage. But I also realize that there are here who are also heavy drinkers. I pray that you are going to give them the power, whoever they are, whatever is their quantity of alcohol, to be able to overcome. May they realize that there is power in the blood that was shed in the cross of Calvary to be able to destroy that evil habit. May they realize that they are putting their careers in danger and also putting their lives in danger and also their families. I pray, Father, that we would realize that we can overcome through your grace, through your blood which was shed in the cross of Calvary. All this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, have a great night. God bless you all.